There's one more project Disney announced today they're doing the same thing with. And this was another one I'm like, really? But the prequel to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Now, this is one, too, they've been talking about for a long time. And they were going to do a movie with Dwayne The Rock Johnson at one point. David Fincher was actually attached to this at one point to do this. And they both went off. Crazy, right? And they've been trying to make this for a long time, but they shot the whole thing. Same deal, prequel series, a 10-part series with Shazad Latif attached to it. And he was actually, if you watch Star Trek Discovery, he played Vulcan on that. And he was he did a great job because he had this whole twist in the series. But I think he would have been great for Captain Nemo. That's what he was supposed to play. So Captain Nemo, so infamous Captain Nemo was supposed to follow him and his rise to power. And it was going to be him alongside his crew battling various threats in the magical underground worlds. But Disney said the same thing. We're going to axe the whole thing. Maybe we'll sell it to someplace else. Paramount was attached to this too. 20th Century Television was attached to this. They want to get their monies back. And Disney will get their money back, but those other independent companies, they don't. So they're going to try to get it to go someplace else. But we hear about this, and before we were talking about how, the strike's happening, so shows will be canceled, but shows being done like this is just, it's just insane to me because you spend months on production and post-production, as Brandon knows, and then all of a sudden, it's just gone. Everyone's work is just down the drain, and it might not go anywhere. But it just shocks me. It just really shocks me. Sabrina, what do you think? Do you think that this surprised you that these two projects went to the wayside? Or do you think this is more par for the course for the way that Disney is directing their business?
No, I think that everybody in the AMPTP are a bunch of assholes who don't give a shit about anybody but themselves. I've said it a million times. And I'm sick of them doing shit like this. Imagine if you were an actor and you booked this huge fucking series and you're super excited about it. And then they are like, we're just going to throw that in the trash and you can fuck yourself. I don't appreciate it. I think it's awful to do to people. And there's so many things that are in flux right now because of the strike. Oh, I'm sorry, really quickly. I put this up.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yes. Ty asked about the Kellis and the Khalees, or however you say her name. I apologize for screwing it up because one of them is obviously wrong. She did have a baby with Nas back in 2009. Yes. Thank you. What up, IPA sessions? And hell yeah, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, that's pretty much. I think it's brutal for everyone involved, for everyone that works on that show. There's. The directors, the producers. I mean, I guess the producers are the dicks, but the directors and the actors and what if there's people that kind of just started working, makeup artists, let's say. That's you don't even have that shit for your reel. It's fucking gone. I think it's really rude and disrespectful the way that they, are just now. It's becoming a trend that they just continually cast things aside so they can take a tax credit for it. I don't know how it's legal. I feel like something is wrong and that someone needs to come in. Because they have no problem auditing regular citizens who make $20,000 a year. Go audit fucking Bob Iger and Zaslav and all these other pricks. I don't know. This is stupid. I don't like it at all. I think it's terrible.
You know they're not going to do that, Sabrina. They're not going to do that.
They're not. But it would be nice if for 1 second you focus on the problem instead of the people who the world's back is built upon. Who the world is built. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It wasn't the right wording, but you know what I mean.
but also it just sucks because it's all the work you put into just to see it, And a lot of times with these projects, if you don't release them one time and let's say they don't get bought up, no one takes it, then it goes into some vault like Disney likes to say, it's metaphorical vault, and then you never get to see your work. You can't get footage.
Yeah, you're not going to get the footage. You can't, it's just that.
It trickles down.
That's a calling card. That's part of your reel. That's how people get work in the entertainment industry who are doing the creative side of things. That's not fucking cool.
It's even post stuff though too. Like Brandon, you hear about this. Can you imagine working on a project and these are big budget things and you get all this stuff done. You're so happy with it. And they're like, oh, by the way, not coming out. Has that happened to you before?
Honestly, actually, I got to witness some of that part because post-production is the last bit of work before a movie gets out, and so we do get clients in there, and we sometimes see the news showed up and we're not doing this anymore. I'm like, wait, what? And it's happened, and they're distraught.
While you're in the midst of working on something.
Yes, while we're working on something, and it's just gone, and it's just decided no, we're gonna put on hold for an indefinite hold, and I'm just like, wow, okay. And they could just do that on a whim. And I just feel like that even in and of itself should be protected. You can't just cancel someone's entire 3 weeks worth of projects on just on a whim. And like it was
Just like
also like
that.
the showrunner and stuff like that, and everyone else, and it's just that's their baby, that's their dream, and it's
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah, and to be like, okay, this is being made, and then like to go from it's being made, like you got basically a deal, to like you're actually shooting it, to like
Yeah.
it's in post production, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, no. Like, how could you imagine?
No, I
Like,
can't.
even like as an actor, like auditioning for a part, getting a part, and then them calling and being like, listen, this is gonna be on a hold for a long time. But if you shoot it and you do the work, and I know it's like, I don't know. It just seems like such a messed up thing to do. Like
Yeah.
it's like it's just like it's right there, and then you take it away.
Pulling
And
right away from you.
It's really just a ballsy move too. It's just like, hey, I'm just gonna give all this money away, and then we're just gonna go, okay, nope, we're just gonna hold on to that for a tax, refund, and not like give it to anything, and just like I want to know where the ratio is between like what's the return and what's the give, and just like what and really just where are the numbers going, and if it's pocketed by someone, most likely is.
It is.
But
I guarantee. I mean, honestly. Like the residuals aren't happening too. You think about that. Disney's talking about that too. A lot of times they're pulling some of these shows because they don't want to pay some of the residuals that do. Because not everybody gets residuals because that's a big fight right now. But some of these actors have been getting residuals, and they said by taking them off the air, they don't have to pay that anymore. And
Right, but like these things that they're not releasing and they're calling a tax break on, like big to think about when you do your taxes.
Yeah.
So your expenses come off of what you owe. So
Yeah.
now they're like basically not paying taxes, probably getting money back for fucking off these people and their work. It's not cool.
It's not cool.
Peanut butter and jelly, Keanu Reeves in anything, peanut butter and chocolate, and taxes and the rich just go hand in hand together for some reason. Why can't that money just stay in my
That was
pocket,
great.
you know?
Wait, hold on. I would like to go back to that. Peanut butter and jelly.
Peanut butter and
chocolate.
Peanut butter
And
and chocolate.
then the
Keanu
second
Reeves
analogy
in
was
just
Keanu Reeves in
anything.
anything.
It's
And
the
rich
same
people in taxes.
Yeah.
I like it.
Honestly,
That was
it
great.
off
That
the
was
top,
great.
man. It was really good.
I like that. It took me a
telling
minute to process it, and I was like, "Oh, I see where he's going with this."
Yeah. But this is like a. Yeah, go ahead. Get in there.
No, I was just really like, I'm just ecstatic about this like conversation because it's a really big one nowadays. And I'm like that, and you mentioned residuals, and I think that's why AI is such a big issue, big talking point, is because that's one way. If the technology gets even better, residuals could go away. I mean, remember like back in like we had like thousands and thousands of extras like in movies that were like with wars and stuff like that, like Gladiator. They had like filled that entire coliseum with actual people, but then VFX like came up and was like, no, we can actually make some of these fake people now. So like extras and extras are getting smaller and smaller. It's like always to save a buck with people, and it's. When is it going to end, and when is it going to find itself as a collaborative effort like this industry was, and hopefully still is.
And go back to that way. It should still be that way. Even they were used to like take a group of people and like shoot a plate shot of them here and then move to the next section and have them change clothes fast and then shoot them there. That was a whole thing they used to do. But now it's just they shoot them one time and then they double them up and quadruple them and put them around and then now the scanning. It's a slippery slope. And that's why we have this strike going on. And like we've talked about on the show multiple times about how like people don't understand why the actors are standing up and the writers are standing up. And then the AMPTP pushes the whole like they're being greedy type deal. And it's like, it's really about the livelihood of people right now. And it trickles down to everybody. Post work for you too. It's like, I know they're using more like AI editing software stuff. Has that affected you at all with your sound mixing and stuff or?
Not yet. No, luckily it hasn't.
Luckily not.
Luckily, it hasn't gotten to a point, and it, ChatGPT or whatever could just use as much as they wanted to, but it won't affect there's good old fashioned ears. Like you can't get rid of that experience.
Yeah,
you can't just.
Yeah, you can't. You need a human being for that. It's like they're saying the same thing for like an actor. Like you still need humanity in somebody to actually create that material that we can connect to. It's the same thing. It's like there's something about the human body that can create something that a machine can't. Just can't. No,
no, sorry.
I was going to say sorry, Alexis. I was going to say.
I'm sorry. For something to elicit a human emotion takes a human to create, and it's just that's something that all of us go for the movies and watch TV for, is that emotional reaction, that telltale
connection.
thing. Yes.
And speaking of that connection, does anybody care about either of these series though? I just want to know. Sabrina,
No.
are you excited? No, not at all.
Hard no.
Nothing at all.
Hard.
You know what's
no.
in Captain Nemo? Huh?
No, absolutely not. I would never watch either of these things, but I do feel bad for everybody involved
Yes.
in them who basically lost their job.
I do too. Brandon, do you like any of these ideas? Do you think they should find a home someplace else?
I've always liked 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Me
I
too.
actually did, but they did the movie so bad, so it's just like whatever.
I know. That's why I'm like, I hope that we get to see it, so we get to see, to know what they did with it. And I hope it does find a home, both these projects, because again, it sucks when you take the time to shoot something and you spend a day in and day out, 14-hour days a lot of times to create art, and then it's just lifted from underneath you and the rug's pulled out and you never get to see it. It's very unfortunate, because then what's the point of any of it? We go away from our families, we work these long hours so that we can create something that's supposed to be left for everybody, and if we don't release it, we never get that.